Week 10 is done. Boy, we're coming down the final stretch here of the MHA season. Had some big-time wins, some big-time losses, some big-time performances. We'll talk all about it here on the MHA podcast. Of course, the usual suspects of myself, Eric Lansing, Todd Diamond, and Mikey Renault. How good is Jonathan Taylor, guys? Jeez, what a day. When Mikey got to see it firsthand.
Yeah, he's okay.
sounds like something I would say, Mikey. Yeah.
286 yards from scrimmage. He broke Marshall Faulk's program record. His 3 rushing touchdowns helped him surpass Hall of Fame running back Edgerrin James for the Colts record for most career rushing touchdowns with 66. With Taylor's 200 rushing yard game and 3 TDs, he has tied Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, and Jim Brown for the most such games in NFL history. That's 200 rush yards and 3 rushing TDs. And then through 10 games, Jonathan Taylor leads the NFL with 1,139 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns. He is just the 6th player to reach those numbers through that many games. The last 2 running backs to do that were NFL MVPs, and Sean Alexander in 2005 and Terrell Davis in 1998. He's got to be this year's fantasy MVP, correct? Todd? Look,
yes,
you just hear him breathing like,
yes.
Oh, well, it should be Mr. Christian McCaffrey because he's my guy. But...
No, actually, I'm actually saying it should be maybe Stafford the way he's playing. But
really?
Yes.
Well, tell me why then. Why Stafford over Taylor?
Because Stafford just throws multiple touchdowns every single game. I mean,
and he's on your team.
He's on my team, but I'll say what Jonathan Taylor is doing for fantasy is pretty amazing, and I probably would give him my vote for for fantasy football MVP. Now, regular MVP in reality, I would say it's closer between Stafford and Taylor for the actual MVP and the reality MVP. But for fantasy, yes, Jonathan Taylor looks like he's just automatic. He rushes for 200 yards plus like it's nothing.
So you would give the fantasy MVP to Stafford, who's not first amongst quarterbacks, but Taylor is first amongst running backs.
So I would give my vote for fantasy to Taylor, but for reality, I'd give it to Stafford.
Okay.
What say you, Miguel?
Well, what I was trying to explain to Todd was in fantasy, Stafford's not even first in total points at quarterback. So, not only is he not MVP, Stafford's not the top quarterback either.
So you're saying Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, I'm saying Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, 260 points. The next highest running back is the aforementioned Christian McCaffrey. He's got 214. If we're talking about quarterbacks, Justin Herbert leads the way with 480. He has not had his bye week yet. Stafford is 3rd with 446. He has had his bye week, so maybe that kind of evens out. Drake May hasn't had his bye week, and he's 2nd. Here's I don't know what decision to make on that. What I will say is, what round did you draft Matt Stafford? You didn't, right?
I didn't.
Free agent pickup?
Mm-hmm.
That's a case for MVP because that's value beyond even drafting somebody. You picked him up, and he's now 3rd best quarterback in all the league. But it's these games that I will say for Jonathan Taylor, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but in his matchup, he outscored Michael Penix, Aaron's quarterback, because he didn't have Patrick Mahomes in the mix, and still led him to victory. So there's the MVP talk on that side of thing. He's a guy that can win you a week, even when your quarterback doesn't have a great week. But then Todd picked up a guy off free agency, and he's one of the best players in the league. Who is it? I don't know. But it's just pretty amazing to see that Jonathan Taylor. I mean, and Taylor, and we'll talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, who's having a fantastic season. Of course, Patrick Mahomes also having a great fantasy quarterback season. So fun as we come down the last 4 weeks of the season. Who's going to end up out in that fantasy MVP list? Those are a couple of the names. How are we doing on this Tuesday night? Only one of us got the win this week, but we're all still feeling pretty good about where we are in the playoffs, or at least in the playoff race. Is that right, Miguel? You feel good about your team?
I could feel better.
It's one loss, and you lost to the best team in the league. Relax.
Well, maybe I hold myself to a higher standard.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there it is.
Todd, how are you feeling about your team?
I'm still feeling good. My 3-headed monster every week is still, is for the most part putting up double digits every single week and more. So I'm feeling good.
He's feeling good. Glad to hear it. Well, go ahead.
I would say I was going to try to go for, for a good streak here. The Broncos won on Thursday night. The Tar Heels won on Friday night. Hurricanes won on Saturday. I was like, all right, come on. See if I can. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Nope, not so much.
You know what I learned from that last kind of ramble there, Miguel, is that this is Todd's world and we're just living in it.
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, we should all worry about how the Hurricanes are doing and how his fantasy team is doing. And
come on, the Tar Heels. It was a big win. It was a big win on Friday. It was a big win. Come on.
I can't deny it. As a Tar Heel fan, that was a big one over Kansas. But we're here to talk about fantasy football, and we should probably get to some news.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
You guys can tell me if this was horrible, but fantasy may not be fantasy-wise, but head coach Brian Daboll was fired. The Giants' former head coach. He started this year 2-8. Offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will be the interim head coach. Daboll was 20-40-1 in his time with the Giants. So not great. We got to see kind of that hard knocks with the GM and all that type of stuff. And Malik Neighbors, that worked out well for him, but I guess wasn't enough to save that man's job. Obviously, Neighbors hurt this year, but yeah, bye-bye Brian Daboll. Let's talk about some fantasy stuff here. Big blow for the Gonzo Cats, who will lose Garrett Wilson for the next 3 to 4 weeks as the Jets wide receiver sprained his knee on Sunday. The injury won't require, easy for me to say, surgery. Well, but with only 4 weeks left to go in the regular season, gonna hurt Pollen's chances. That's someone he's relied on, been pretty solid in that wide receiver spot. Hot Tamales first round pick. Here's some good news, at least for Mikey, not the rest of us. Joe Burrow was seen at practice this week, and the Bengals quarterback says he's hoping for a Thanksgiving return. Of course, Burrow dealing with that turf toe and has been out since he was hurt in week 2. Mikey, we haven't reached Thanksgiving yet, but boy, that would be a wonderful thing to be grateful for.
Yeah, right now I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm just being very patient.
Or something?
No, I don't think it's smoke. I think he wants to play, but I think a lot's going to be determined in the next couple of weeks to see where the Bengals are at that point. If it's like, is it worth it? Obviously, I hope he comes back because, I drafted him for a reason.
This musical chairs of quarterbacks every week?
No, like being able to have Burrow back and the version of Burrow that I know that he can play with the team that I have, like it gives me a chance. And so, yeah, I'm that would be the ultimate Thanksgiving gift.
The ultimate for you, not the rest of us, but for you. Chad Powers fan club starting wide receiver Devontae Adams pulled an oblique during the team's big win over San Francisco. Coach Sean McVay said Adams could have played if needed, but of course those 49ers were up big, so Chad Powers kind of keep an eye on that. Cooper's Cousins, J.K. Dobbins, injured his foot on Thursday night and is apparently looking for a second opinion. I don't know what you guys can tell me what the news was today. I saw you guys texting that this is probably going to be R.J. Harvey's job for a little bit here. So is that, Todd, you got to be thrilled if it ends up being the RJ Harvey show going forward.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to do backflips and handstands. I mean, let's
No,
go.
you
This
can't
is
do that.
okay. Probably not. I probably can do a handstand. Probably can't do a backflip. But no, this is
now you have to show us you can do it.
Okay, we'll do.
And then we're going to film it, and then we're going to show it to everyone in the league.
Okay, fantastic.
Good.
But no, this is and this is kind of a, this I've been waiting for this. Like, I mean, if RJ Harvey is the main back, and how much more they can utilize him, in the passing game too as well. I mean, obviously for our league, for receptions and everything. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I mean, but also too, if this is the opportunity and he's gonna be the guy, then it's gonna have, it's put up or shut up. So I think he still has to prove and everything, but this is the opportunity now. I mean, it sucks that Dobbins is down. I mean, obviously Dobbins has been great, so far this season and everything like that. But if RJ Harvey can really, show Sean Payton, like, hey, I can be a bell cow running back, then I'll be, like I said, I'll be doing handstands left and right.
So don't you think that Tyler Bidet is going to get a significant part of this passing game?
God, I hope not.
Like, Sean Payton, Todd. You know Sean Payton.
I know, and I know when he had Kamara in New Orleans, they still had other running backs too. But
so what honestly, like, if Dobbins is out,
okay,
from a points perspective, since we're talking about fantasy, I gotta know what your expectation of RJ Harvey is. This way we can track
15 points every week.
Oof, that's a little. Oof, that's. I don't know, man. That's a little much.
So do you figure this will be more of a split backfield as opposed to an RJ Harvey show?
I would probably venture to think that it would be like a 60% RJ Harvey, and then the rest is like split between Bidet and Jaleel McLaughlin.
Ooh, Jaleel McLaughlin. We haven't seen much of him this year. I haven't seen every game this year, but you mentioned his name. I was like, oh, I forgot he was even a Bronco. Well, there you go, Todd. Go ahead.
Like, I'm just going to say, so, for example, like Dobbins was averaging 11. And so if you're expecting RJ Harvey to be in the 15 range, it means you're expecting him to be up there with Kyren Williams, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, guys like that.
Well, Mike, you got to understand, RJ Harvey was Todd's boy since the beginning. As soon as the Broncos drafted him, he wanted him, he reached for him, and he's got to believe he's going to score 15 points or more. If he's going to get that, what he was drafted him in the fourth round,
I just think that's a reach.
Well, sometimes that's one thing in fantasy. Sometimes if you believe, Mikey, you reach. That's what you gotta do.
Reach for the stars.
Yep.
Reaching for RJ Harvey.
Oh, man, I can hear the Todd complaining all the way from here on Sunday.
And as they take on the Chiefs this Sunday afternoon. We'll finish off just a couple more pieces of news before we get into the recaps. Belt Sanders, wide receiver Romeo Doubs dealing with a chest injury, which, he suffered on Monday night. Kind of a mixed bag season for the Packers wide receiver. New England running back Travion Henderson broke out in a major way on this weekend, but near the end of the game, the notorious CUP ball carrier got his knee twisted on the sideline and was limited in practice on Monday. So that's kind of the big news stuff. If I'm missing anything, you guys can just yell at me. But perhaps we get into the Week 10 recap. I don't know why I put 9 here, but let's put Week 10 recap. 6-3 Hot Tamales, 7-2 Lion Rip matchup of the week. No Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce for Lion Rip, and he ran with Michael Penix and Dalton Kincaid, who combined for a meager 28 points, but have no fear. We mentioned it. The probable MHA MVP was here for Aaron's team. JT, whale of a game in Berlin during the early hours of Sunday morning. 47 points against that Falcons defense. The Hot Tamales would respond with flex starter Brees Hall running for 83 yards, receiving 43 yards and a TD for 17 points. And Rico Dowdle scored a touchdown, adding 3 catches for 14 points. A lot came down to the afternoon games. Kyron Williams added 2 more touchdowns to his season total of 8, scored 21 points, and for Lion Rip, and in a battle of Lions wide receivers, Aaron's squad got the upper hand as Jameson Williams, who had his best game of 2025, outscoring Amon-Ra St. Brown 17-13 Jacoby Brissett, did what he could, racking up 45 points, but it wasn't enough to overcome JT's big day as Lion Rip improves to 8-2, winning the matchup 150-133. Miguel, your thoughts on this tough matchup?
Well, I mentioned to you guys on Sunday that essentially what Aaron did was, Mahomes wasn't playing, and so Jonathan Taylor was playing quarterback for him.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I did the math on this. So if you take his quarterback, Penix, and Jonathan Taylor, and add their points together, and you take my quarterback, Brissett, and my best running back, James Cook, and add the points together, it's a difference of 17 points, which is exactly what I lost by. So essentially, me and Aaron, we played even, but it was Jonathan Taylor, basically, that was the difference. Like, I could have withstood a 30-point game from Jonathan Taylor, but almost 50, no.
That is a bonkers number to even just see on the screen. 47. We had a couple of running backs at 30, and that's massive in its own right. But to have 47, that's I don't know what to say. He was incredible and saved Aaron's bacon. Aaron thought he was done after 24 points from Michael Penix, and kudos to you for a lot of teams would be done. They wouldn't be able to overcome it, but you guys played tough. I mean, James Cook played less than stellar than maybe what we've seen before. But I mean, Kyle Pitts, there's not a lot of great tight ends out in the world, but you hung tough. And after Jameson Williams kind of had his best day of the season, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of expectations with that, but he had almost 18. So again, there's another big 17 point, more than 17 for Jameson Williams, who's been kind of, disappointing. I mean, he's had a couple double-digit weeks, but there's always that chance with that Lions offense to kind of break out, and he would just happen to be a big part of it against those Commanders. So, yeah, but you're still 6-4, still in that 4th spot, and Aaron at the top by himself at 8-2 in first place. Yours truly this week took on Notorious CUP. I was 5-4. He was 7-2. For CUP, Drake may not have lit up the world this week with 38 points, but boy, Travion Henderson made it really interesting. He had his best game as a pro, 147 rush yards, 2 TDs to finish with 27 points. And in the battle of Bears running backs, DeAndre Swift outscored Kyle Monangai 13-8. But in the battle of tight ends, CUP had a disappointing 2 points from Brock Bowers on Thursday night, while Trey McBride is absolutely loving his life with Jacoby Brissett. 21 points, 9 catches. Jared Goff threw for 3 touchdown passes, finished with 55 points, as most since week 2. Quayne held a 10-point lead after Ladd McConkey hit on 15 on Sunday night. But with Lemonhead's second-round pick Josh Jacobs left to go, it was more than reachable for the Packers running back, who tallied 18 to lead the Lemonheads to the 142-134 victory. Eric's squad has won their last 4 games and are sitting in 4th in terms of points scored. Excited to see Trey McBride. You take a tight, I probably said this before on this podcast, but you take a tight end in the 3rd round. You're like, boy, I hope he pans out, and he's the number one tight end in the league, and he's also better than some of those wide receivers in terms of total points on the season. So very happy that he is panning out. One of the guys I was super high on, and he was big. He was big for me here this week. 3-6, Eaton W's, 4-5, Kilgore Trout. Both teams in desperate need of a win. The defending champs didn't have Dak Prescott and his quarterback, and with his quarterback, he went with Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars at quarterback plus that stout Texans defense equals 24 paltry points. But Joe saw perhaps the second best outing by a running back this week, of course, after Jonathan Taylor. Devin Achane went buck wild against the Bills, racing to 174 rushing yards, crossing that end zone line twice for 37 points. Kevin's team saw a nice rebound from Roma Dunze, who torched the Giants defense for 6 catches, a TD, and 16 points. And Josh Allen, despite watching his Bills team get upset by the lowly Dolphins, Kevin's first-round pick had 51. But George Kittle came ready to play against the Rams, 9 receptions for a touchdown and 19 points. And Kilgore's wide receiver core all hit 13 or more points. And Kilgore gets that much-needed 5th win by defeating Eaton W's 142-130. Kevin drops his 5th match in a row after starting 3-2. Eaton W, yeah, that's pretty much the end of that one. Gonzo Cats and Belt Sanders, 5-4. Gonzo Cats 3-6. Belt Sanders, another must-win kind of game. Featured these two opponents. No Jamar Chase for Allen's team and no George Pickens for Pollen's squad. This one-sided affair despite a 0 from injured Garrett Wilson and an almost disastrous 23 points from Bo Nix. Pollen got an astonishing performance from Jahmyr Gibbs, who went crazy against the Commanders. 3 total touchdowns, 36 points. His second 30-point game in the last 3 games. And how about that pickup of Tez Johnson in place of Pickens? 18 points from the New England wide receiver. Jalen Hurts, is that Bucks, right? Is that Bucks wide receiver?
Johnson? Ted Johnson, yeah.
Thank you. That's who they played. Sorry. Jalen Hurts didn't do any favors for the Belt Sanders, just 29 points. And Evan Ingram continues to disappoint. Not much help from that Broncos offense on Thursday night, just 2 points. 133-96 win for the Gonzo Cats, who are sitting in the 6th spot at 6-4. Belt Sanders fall to 3-7, and I think is in last place. 3-6 Cooper's Cousins versus 3-6 Chad Powers Fan Club. But Cooper's Cousins faint pulse still left after molly-whopping Chad Powers Fan Club 143-86. Dylan got 56 big points from Baker Mayfield, 15 points from Ashton Genty, who reached double figures for the 6th time this season here in his rookie campaign, and 20 big points from the Jaguars defense, who had 250 return yards and a TD. Miles' squad got a putrid 24 from Aaron Rodgers, just 2 points from A.J. Brown, and how about 0 from the Rams kicker? Cooper's Cousins wins by 56 points and improves their record to 4-6, sitting in the 8th spot. Miles 3-7, and in the 11th spot. Time for the Butterfingers. We saw the Dolphins come up with a big upset win over the Bills this weekend, and we saw a 2-7 NWA squad steal a win over the Butterfingers, who were 6-3. Todd squad 1-2 punch of Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. They were great. They combined for 73 points, but a relatively mild day from CMC, 14 points. And how about Seattle's defense? 2 scoring touchdowns, 23 points. The Butterfingers scored 146 this weekend, but the NWA had all 9 players scored 10 or more points. 14 from Todd's lover boy of Aaron Jones. 17 points from probable NFL Rookie of the Year candidate and Emeka Egbuka, 17 points. 19 points from Jake London, who's just been great all year. And how about Chris Olave, who continues to surprise us all this year? He's at 8 points or more in all but 1 game this season. 155 points for NWA. Butterfingers fall to 6-4, still in 3rd place. And then NWA 3-7 in the 10th spot. That's all I've got for the recaps. No dough of the week. There was nothing that really kind of stood out, even though Todd's game was fairly close. Nothing on the bench that could have helped him. So well done, owners. You put your best players out there, and that's what we end up with. So how about we get to those studs?
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Mikey, Stud Nation from week 10. Who was on it?
Well, I think it's got to be pretty obvious that it starts and Probably should end with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's the performance of the year. I
Yeah.
mean, not a whole lot to say. I mean, it sucks those early morning, you know, Europe games are usually kind of slow and
Yeah, disappointing.
boring, and
Yeah.
that's what I was hoping for, but it did not quite happen.
Now, were you up at
So,
7:30, or did you wake up like halfway through and realize what was happening?
no, I was up. Because it wasn't, he didn't just have, Taylor in that game. He had defense going, he had his quarterback going, he had a
Oh, so you were all up
receiver
about it.
going. And so I was very well aware of, all the guys that he had. And so I was up watching. Yeah. And yeah, that second half was just completely brutal.
In overtime, you expect. I mean, both teams get to, get to compete, or at least get to touch the ball, I should say. But they run the ball like 6 or 7 plays, and then he runs it in for the end zone for the walk off win. Like, just the absolute worst thing to have to watch as the opposition. He's already got this amazing day, and then he just piles on top by just jaunting into the end zone to win the game. Like,
Well, it wasn't
not a
even necessary. Like,
yeah, Mikey did tell that to me. They could have just kicked the field goal and it would have been fine.
Yeah, it was
Well,
almost like they kind of knew they were, you know, trying to stick it to me. That's what it felt like. But I know that's not the
good
case.
job, gentlemen. We really stuck it to the hot tamales today. Way to go, coach. Way to go. Way to go, team.
So I was looking
Right.
through history books because I wanted to
Ooh, I
see
love that.
where, Jonathan Taylor's performance stacked up. Was it like the best ever? It wasn't. We have had a few, 50-point games in the past. And
Was Alvin
so,
Kamara on that list? Didn't he have like a 4 touchdown day at some point?
Mm-hmm. He sure did.
yeah, Alvin Kamara. There's actually been a couple guys to hit the 50-point mark. Clinton Portis did it in 2003 with the Broncos. LaDainian Tomlinson did it in 2002. Marshall Falk did it in 2002. Sean Alexander also did it in 2002.
What a year for running backs.
Dang. 2002.
That was a long time ago. We're old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Big time week. Mikey, and I tell you what, I mean, this is just ridiculous to talk about, but if you were able to pull that win off and he had 140 or he had 47 from Jonathan Taylor, that'd have been something. That'd have been a different story, but that's not what happened. He came up with a big win. Todd, give me a stud from week 10.
Trey McBride, man, looking like the best tight end in football. Minus the whoever's throwing him the football.
Don't be bad mouthing
Just
Brissett. What's wrong with you?
okay.
He's,
Okay,
he's, he's brought him to life, my man.
true, very true.
Say you're sorry. Say you're sorry, Mr. McBride and Mr. Brissett.
Sorry, okay, jeez.
That's right.
No, but I mean, it feels like Travis Kelsey's been the best tight end for the last few years, and it just seems like he's just no one else is even gonna get to that level. But Trey McBride, what he's done this year, and even when we saw what Bowers did last year, but he's kind of had an up and down season. But it seems like Trey McBride, good on him. I mean, 21 points. I mean, I wish I got 21 points from my tight end. TJ Hawkinson, talking to you.
Oh my God, you're cursing on the podcast over TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah, well, 2 points.
Guess that's fair.
Hey, yeah, would you be cursing too if Trey McBride only got you 2 points?
Well,
Yeah.
that's the benefit of going out for a tight end early.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been consistent for you all season long. I mean, really only had 1 week where he was under 9 points for for his week. So
And
good
most
on
people
you.
will take 7 points. says the TJ Hawkinson owner who got 2.
Yeah,
He's been great.
Yeah,
He has
been
had
great.
5 or more catches in 11 consecutive games, which ties the all-time record for a tight end. He's had 11 consecutive. Let's see, first tight end in NFL history to have 5+ catches in each of his first 8 games of the season. He's been great. He's been
Yeah, Todd. And before you start clowning Jacoby Brissett, in the last 4 weeks, on average, Brissett's been the 4th best quarterback in our league. Just
Has he
saying.
been better than Matt Stafford though?
No,
Okay.
No.
No, I like Brissett for sure. He is definitely up the level of Trey McBride, who sits with 127 overall points. Jake Ferguson second at 109. Stud, got to mention Devin Achane, who almost single-handedly beat the Bills by himself, rushing for 174 yards, 2 rushing TDs. He had 6 catches, 51 yards, saving Kilgore Trout's bacon in terms of staying in that playoff race. That is a big-time performance against I don't know how good the Bills defense is. I like to think they're usually pretty good, but they weren't good. And they beat the Bills. I mean, I don't know how much money people put on that game, because I think it was like I'm not a gambling guy by any stretch, but like an 8.5 point favorite, which is like a big time number. And for them to beat them outright is huge already. But man, Devin Achane was huge for Joe, the defending champs, to stay in that playoff race. Currently 7th at 5-5. That's a different story if it ends up being, what is that, 4-6. So Achane was huge. Was he? I don't know if he was the first or second round. He was on the turn, but big time. Mikey, give me another stud.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
He was awesome, and it's a trend. And you were mentioning Devon Achane. It's been a trend for the Commanders' defense of allowing huge games to running backs, and they've given up big game to Gibbs this past week. They've given up a big one to Hunt, to Javonte Williams, to DeAndre Swift, to Bijan Robinson. So I'm glad I'm not facing Kilgore next week. I'll say that.
That's right. Achane taking him on.
But yeah, I mean, Gibbs, like, we all know how good he is, but like, it's nice to see him break out and have that giant week, because at times it seems like they can always switch. Like, maybe Montgomery's week. This was a definite Gibbs week. 3 touchdowns. Really just helped Gonzo Cats put the butt whooping on the Belt Sanders.
And maybe that's Coach Campbell taking over those play calling duties this past weekend. So if you are, the Gonzo Cats, you hope that continues, because that worked wonders for Gibbs, who, what do you have, like 19 touches, it looks like, or no, sorry, 18 touches, and a big time victory. So Jahmyr Gibbs, Devin Achane, Jonathan Taylor, big time running backs this season. Todd, who else shined this past weekend?
Let's go with Baker Mayfield. 56 points. I mean, he throws touchdowns left and right too, just like Stafford. And that's doing this without, without Mike Evans and everything like that. So he's, obviously, and even without Bucky Irving and everything, but Baker Mayfield, again, he's, consistent every single week. I mean, he's only had maybe one bad week where he only scored 19 points against New Orleans, where they didn't absolutely do anything in that game. But Baker Mayfield, there's another underdog, under the radar, type player maybe for for consideration for MVP.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, he was the guy that I think he was 3rd in total points 1 year ago. So I think he was highly touted. I'd have to look and see exactly where he got drafted, but what is he sitting in, like the 10th spot here? 3, 6, 9, 10, right on the money. With under 400. Now he's had a bye week, so maybe he'll move up once other folks start having their bye weeks. But he's had some good games. He had a 19-point effort against New Orleans a couple weeks ago. That was kind of, I'm sure, disappointing for Cooper's Cousins. But when he needed him this week, 56 big points. So he's got the talent to be one of the best in the league. But I don't know if he's been as stellar as we saw from last year. Last stud for me as I scroll down my list here. I had a couple different ones, like George Kittle was pretty good this past weekend for Kilgore. You could talk about NWA and Egbuka, who we talked about, in terms of just being a rookie of the year candidate. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. And, some folks wondered, like, why would they go for a wide receiver that early? But he's been great. I think, what is he, in the top 10 as I look through here? I think he's actually 9th. Let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8. No, Chris Olave's 9th. That's why I saw 9th before. But 10th for Egbuka here this season. 6 touchdowns, 40 receptions. He's been stellar. He's had some couple of lowly weeks here. He may be the top those first 5 games, but for someone as a rookie, they're going to have their ups and downs. And NWA rode that to a victory over Todd. Let's talk about those duds.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
Todd, we'll start with you this time. Who stunk it up this past week?
A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's been kind of stinking it up all season long. Only 2 points. Ouch. That's and it's, the fact that the Eagles are still winning, but A.J. Brown for me. He's only had 1 week where he was in the 20s, but other than that, it's not been the A.J. Brown that we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before. That Phillies offense is weird. It looks like Devontae Smith is more of the number 1 over there now. We've seen Goddard have some big games. Of course, Barkley's starting to come around a little bit here too, but A.J. Brown puts up a couple double digits every once in a while, but he has definitely not been consistent, nor has he been, in value where he got drafted. So glad I don't have him on my team. I know Chad Powers traded for him when he was down, and we all thought that was a good idea based on the trade, but it hasn't worked out that way. Mikey, who was bad this past weekend?
Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
He had we kind of thought, he's been banged up all year. He broke out last week, had that 30-point game. It was like, all right, we're starting to see what he did last year. And then Thursday night, man, 1 catch. And I know, we've always thought like the weakness of the Broncos defense, which is incredible, has always been against tight ends or running backs out of the backfield. But sneaky thing is this year, like the Broncos are actually top 10 against tight ends and fantasy points. Like they're actually not that bad against tight ends. And so, Bowers really sucked it up on Thursday night when CUP, needed him the most. He had a tough matchup against you, and he really needed Bowers to perform. Like this was probably tight ends 1 and 2 going head to head, and it didn't even look like a match.
Yeah, a lot of stinkers in that Thursday night game. All over the place. I don't know if anybody succeeded. I guess Ashton Genty did all right for himself. But yeah, it was surprising after big 36 points the previous week. Eric, myself, earns the benefit in that regard. I'm going to go to Justin Jefferson from CUP. Same team. Kind of a weird game. I didn't get to see. We got to see a good portion of it. For him, he had 4 catches for 37 yards, but a couple of like weird lackadaisical plays where I don't know if the ball was thrown that bad or he gave up on a play. A couple of interceptions that were thrown in his direction, and it just seemed like he kind of gave up on it. I don't want to put that on Justin Jefferson because he's been a stud and he owns all these records for, reaching these milestones at a young age, but I don't know if it was just the defense, the Ravens defense that was giving him fits, but as your first round pick. That's 5 points. Isn't going to get it done. So that one really stood out to me from this past week. Todd, do you have another dud?
Evan Ingram, but I think we can agree Evan Ingram this season overall has not been great, what we expected him to be. But yeah, I mean, granted, yeah, that Thursday night game, that was kind of, obviously as Broncos fans, we'll watch it regardless whether it's good or bad football. But that game just overall was just it was tough to watch. I mean, granted, we got the win, and that's all that matters. But Evan Ingram just has not been. I mean, whether it's been, obviously I know he's injured, too as well, but he just hasn't been what we expected him or what Sean Payton has expected him to be, the quote unquote Joker. I mean, he's only had 1 week so far this season where they had double digits, and that was all the way back in week 5. So, I mean, I know tight ends, you get what you can, what you can. I mean, again, it's 11, 7, 5. You got a goose egg, then you got 2. So, yeah, Evan Ingram for me. I mean, honest with you, I mean, to give advice, but I mean, if I was down, I would have dropped Evan Ingram a long time ago and tried another tight end. But what it is.
Yeah, you're probably not too far off on that regard. I mean, it's hard to say that he's just a dud. I mean, he's a dud because he didn't perform well and he's starting on someone's team. But the expectations are so low for him now that yeah, okay, yeah, we know that. But I mean, you're probably right where it should have been dropped many moons ago. But the hope for that turns around, that's not. I don't think it's going to happen if it hasn't happened to this point. Mikey, who else?
I gotta go with James Cook, man. I have when you're going up against the best, you need contributions from everybody. And for the most part, I did. But James Cook is who I consider to be my top running back. The Dolphins have been absolute trash against running backs all year long. I mean, Cook had over 20 against them in the first matchup in week 4. So obviously there was an expectation that yeah, I mean, he was going to go wild, but that game got away from Buffalo so quickly that Cook's not usually the guy that's in there on the passing downs, and so yeah, I mean 9.5 9 points. It's kind of like not awful, but I mean it's just not the expectation I have from Cook. I mean he's been a guy averaging 17, and so in a really good matchup, I thought he let me down.
Yeah, he had a fumble that led to a lot of that situation where they didn't need to, or they didn't use him because he's not the passing down back. So yeah, just a bad day. I kind of agree when we were watching that game. It's like, why aren't they giving it to Cook? Instead, they're throwing picks, or Josh Allen is like fumbling the ball in his own regard. And yeah, next thing you know, the game script changes, and because yeah, Cook's been amazing most of this season, and 9 points. I agree with you. Like, oh, that's some people. I'd love to take that from my flex guy, but that's not what you expected from him. He was kind of scheduled to get like 16 points, but I hear you there. I'm going to throw one off of Todd's team and good old Quentin Johnston, just because the season that guy has had, and he needed him to come through in a big way, and he kind of let Todd down because he didn't need that many from Quentin Johnston. And in a game against Pittsburgh that has given up some big offensive passing numbers this season, he came through he had 7, but that's not what Todd needed from him.
I needed 15.
I mean, and it's interesting just because Quentin Johnston, he's had some bad weeks. He's had some good weeks. And unfortunately, in a good matchup, he didn't have a good week. 10 targets, but only 5 catches. Sorry, Quentin Johnson. Sorry, Todd. Let's look into the Week 11 schedule. The number 1 team in all of the league, an 8-2 line rip. They take on heated rival, the NWA. Of course, they're struggling at 3-7. The matchup of the week will be 2nd place versus 4th place, 7-3 notorious CUP. They will try to look to get back on that winning track against 6-4 Hot Tamales. 3rd place Butterfingers will face off against 3-7 Belt Sanders. 5th place and 6-4 Lemonheads go toe-to-toe with 3-7 Chad Powers Fan Club. Another big matchup comes in the 6th place versus the 7th place teams in terms of Gonzo Cats and Kilgore Trout. Big-time playoff feel. And Cooper's Cousins needs to keep pace and earn their 5th win, trying to defeat Eaton W's. The buys for the week, just 2 teams, Indianapolis and New Orleans. So no Jonathan Taylor. So lucky break for NWA. No Michael Pittman Jr. has had a good year. No Tyler Warren. No Chris Olave. No Alvin Kamara. Just 4 weeks to go, gentlemen. Mikey, anything you want to say about your matchup this week?
I mean, it's going to be another, tough one. This is actually going to be the first week for me where I actually have all, players available for me for the first time all season. So, well,
You
with
have
the
Brees
exception
Hall
of
on your
Brooks,
bench right now.
Huh?
I said you have Brees Hall on your bench right now. And I think that shows the depth of your team. To this guy who's been pretty good. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just like, I was just so astonished to see that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup on a Thursday against New England there. So right now, I mean, it's going to be hard for me any week. I have got 3 pretty decent running backs. I also have 3 really, really good wide receivers that I can't put any of those guys on the bench. So, it's a good problem to have. I will say that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I get Flacco's going to be in there for me for Cincinnati. Hopefully, he continues to stack up the completions and yards and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a big week. With a win, I can overtake Notorious CUP because of my point total. So I'm excited.
Yep. We'll get a quick start on that one too, because he's got Drake May going on Thursday night against the Jets. That'll be a home matchup for New England. And so see how all that plays out. How about you, Todd? How are you feeling against the Belt Sanders, who are 3-7?
Well, team just has to show up again. I mean, I'm gonna play RJ Harvey.
I know you are.
Oh yeah, I mean, before I put in Tyrone Tracy, but then obviously I heard about the news today about Dobbins, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna roll the dice again, and 2, for whatever it's worth, I'm getting Jake Ferguson back, so maybe I won't be screaming effigies, or explicit words about my tight ends that I did about TJ Hawkinson. 2 freaking points. What a douche. So, but hey, I'm like I said, now I have Stafford, Puka, and McCaffrey all have their bye. They've already had their bye, so it's I don't have to worry about now this point in the season worrying like, oh, they have having a bye week when it's so close to the playoffs now, and so forth. So ready to go. I mean, obviously, you never know. I mean, Allen can, he'll get. I mean, Allen will get Jamar Chase back this week.
There's your problem. If Jamar Chase busts out for 30 points,
I know that's
Remember what he did to the Steelers the last time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Chad Powers Fan Club for me this week. They've already taken out AJ Brown because he must have heard us talking about it on the podcast. But he puts in DK Metcalf, who has not been great. Single digits the last 3 or 4 weeks, but we'll see what happens in that Cincinnati game. That definitely can change things. Have they played Cincinnati? He had 5 points last time against Cincinnati, so not a big deal either. He's get Chase Brown back. Saquon Barkley is playing a little bit better these days. And we'll see what Aaron Rodgers does against Cincinnati. So that's going to be a big one for CUP, the Steelers and Bengals matchup. But 3-7 for a reason, and my guys are playing pretty well here these days. We'll see if Sutton can kind of turn a corner. He's been kind of disappointing, but the McBride, Jacobs, and good to have CeeDee Lamb back. See how it all plays out. But there you go. Heading into week 11, 4 weeks on the calendar. Should be kind of a fun race to the end here. Every win's so important. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the MHA podcast. From Mikey Renaud, Todd Diamond, Eric Lansing. We'll see you on the next podcast.